Today we are talking about intellectual property, what that means, and how it can impact your business. So, first of all, we're going to go over what the three basic categories we're going to cover in intellectual property. We're going to discuss patents, we're going to discuss trademarks, and we're going to discuss copyrights. So, these three different items all work uniquely in the process for a business to protect your interest. And we're going to start with copyrights. And when we think about copyrights, you may think about a photograph, a drawing, a piece of art, a song, a book, a movie, a TV show. All of these items that are copywritten are items that are created by somebody. They have used their creative mind, spirit, energy to create this piece of art, this unique item. And when they do that, they have a right to protect how that is used. Who sings their song? Who plays their movie? You'll hear about TV shows or movies where the actors and the writers get royalties because it is played on air somewhere else or in some other manner. The reruns that happen. Those royalties are tied to the copyright laws, and that someone has the right of ownership to what was created, and then they get to keep it. Many of you probably, when we think about copyrights, have gone to a restaurant to celebrate your own birthday or somebody else's birthday. Now, we would think that most people would, when you go to the restaurant, you say to your server, hey, it's so-and-so's birthday. They would come out with the dessert, and they would, as easily as they can, sing happy birthday to you. There would be no made-up song, no creation. It would just be happy birthday to you, and I'm not going to ruin your ears with the rest of me singing, but you can picture it, that song. Restaurants don't sing that song, and the question is, why don't they? Well, the answer is fairly simple. The owner of, the creator of Happy Birthday owned a copyright to that song. And if a business were to use that song in the course of doing business, they would have to pay a royalty every time they sang it. And if you think of a restaurant like Texas Roadhouse, or if you think of the Olive Garden, or any of these other chain restaurants, and they've got 300, 400, 500 restaurants, and you assume in each restaurant 2 times a day they're singing happy birthday. So let's say they have 350 restaurants and they sing happy birthday twice a day. That's 750 times a day that they're singing happy birthday. And they're open 365 days a year. That's 255,000 times or more that they're singing happy birthday. And let's say something like $5 in royalty for each time they have to sing happy birthday. That's $1.27 million that would go to the creators of Happy Birthday for every year singing happy birthday. So what did Olive Garden do instead? They made up their own song. They could pay the best songwriter. And if that songwriter sat there and charged $250,000 to write one song for Olive Garden's Happy Birthday, they're still saving $1 million in year one and $1.2 million every year thereafter. So copyrights are a very important thing. Now, ideally, you want to go get documentation for your copyright. You want to go to the federal government and say, I've created this piece of unique artistic creation, I'd like a copyright on it. And once you get that copyright, you're very simply protected. However, if you don't go through that process, and let's say you take a wonderful picture or you sing a great rap song and you post that picture on Instagram, or you post a video of you singing a song you wrote on YouTube, you have what's called a de facto copyright that says you were the first person to create this piece of art and you published it and shared it with the world. And once you do that, you have the rights to protect that image, protect that song. Now, if someone does use your created material, you don't get to just call the police and say, hey, go arrest Joe, he's using my material. It is up to you individually to enforce your copyright. And in Canvas, you are going to see a couple what are called cease and desist letters, where they attach to both copyrights and trademarks, and you will see how businesses enforce their copyright. So we'll talk about that, and we're also going to talk about how copyrights intertwine with trademarks. But the last thing I want to hit on copyrights real quick for this segment is that copyrights have a limited lifetime. Copyrights are protected for the life of the creator plus 70 years. So you have a copyright for a limited amount of time. Now, it could be a very long period of time in the sense that you create something when you're 20 years old and you live to be 100, you have the 80 years you're alive, plus you have another 70 years on top of that, so you could own that copyright for 150 years. But once that copyright has expired, it becomes free use. Anybody could use that item once the copyright expires. And each year there are pieces of literature, songs, movies that their copyright is expiring, and it moves into what is called the free use domain. And it's items from right now the 1920s, early 1900s that are becoming, their copyrights are expiring. So that does happen. Copyrights do have an expiration date.